A desperate search underway for a man missing after flash flooding ripped through historic Ellicott City. Rescue crews pulling at least 30 people from flooded homes and cars.
Breaking news coming out of North Korea. The high-stakes summit could be back on track.
There is still one major issue that two sides have not agreed on, and that is what the denuclearization of North Korea looks like.
Here's a new idea on how to pay for President Trump's big, beautiful wall. Crowdfunded.
Because the Democrats will not go with the Republicans in funding the wall, we thought this was a good idea to give the American people a chance to have a voice in it.
Chelsea Clinton bashing the president overseas, saying Trump degrades what it means to be an American.
I think that her and her mother seem to degrade what it means to be a strong woman. They fall into every stereotype of women being whiny, women being over-emotional.
You have made it your life's work to make sure that the children of the fallen and the disabled are taken care of.
That is why we are here, to remember not only those fallen, but the families that we support.
The national anthem in its entirety, because that is how we do it here at Fox and Friends. The USS Arlington Color Guard, accompanied by Navy Band Northeast for their rendition, of course, of the national anthem, and it was beautiful.
I love that version because it reminds me of when I was in band, marching up and down the streets of Verona, New Jersey on Memorial Day, playing that very version. I could hear the parts of the saxophone that I used to play, and it gives you chills every time you hear that particular version, and all the versions, quite frankly.
It's very special to hear it on this day, though, Memorial Day, when we honor the sacrifice of those that answered the call and gave their lives for our freedom. They paid the ultimate sacrifice. I've said it all morning. All gave some, but some gave all. And we had earlier Jocko Willink, a Navy SEAL, saying the message today is live your life worthy of the sacrifice they made. And we've got images coming in that you're sending in of your proud American, of the heroes. This is from Deborah. She writes, "This is my cousin Peter, who gave his life in World War II fighting for this great country."
Great shot.
Here's one from Ronnie of his uncle Robert, who was killed in Vietnam.
And Stovall family sends this one of their son Matt, killed in Iraq back in 2004. We remember him, and of course all of the servicemen and women who lost their lives fighting for this great country, because remember, that is what today is all about. Of course, it's for family and barbecuing and being together and having a great time, but it is, of course, to honor those that allow us to live a great life of freedom in the best country on earth.
And we will see the president laying a wreath later today in Arlington. More than 400,000 graves there marked by American flags. It is a special day, and we are so grateful, and we're going to honor them all day long. Keep sending us your pictures at friends@foxnews.com, #ProudAmerican.
Yeah, well, there's a lot going on as well, though, as there always is. And the high stakes, the North Korea summit could be back on track.
A U.S. delegation on the ground meeting at the DMZ, trying to salvage the sit-down between President Trump and dictator Kim Jong-un.
Garrett Tinney is live in Washington, D.C. with the latest. Good morning, Garrett.
Good morning, y'all. Yeah, this summit has been on again and off again almost since it was announced. And on Saturday, South Korea's president met with Kim Jong-un to discuss the summit, and they seem to make some progress towards it happening. And South Korea's president said afterwards, quote, Chairman Kim made clear again his intent for complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula, and he expressed his will to bury the history of war and confrontation and cooperate for mutual peace and prosperity. The next morning, just a few days after canceling the summit and blasting Kim Jong-un, President Trump struck a very different tone, tweeting, "Our United States team has arrived in North Korea to make arrangements for the summit between Kim Jong-un and myself. I truly believe North Korea has brilliant potential and will be a great economic and financial nation one day. Kim Jong-un agrees with me on this. It will happen." The president also said that despite these delays, they are still planning to hold the summit in about 2 weeks in Singapore. A lot of foreign policy experts are pointing out this type of summit normally takes months to prepare for. So in order for this to happen on June 12th, there is a whole lot of work that needs to get done between now and then. Abby, Todd, and Griff.
A lot of work. We will see where this all goes. Garrett live for us. Garrett, good to see you this morning.
Thanks, sir.
Good to be here.
And obviously, we're going to be talking about North Korea throughout the course of the morning. But right now, I want to talk about this. President Trump questioning President Obama over, let's call it the lack of response or the lack of doing anything by President Obama with regard to Russian meddling. In a tweet, the president wrote, quote, "Why didn't President Obama do something about the so-called Russian meddling when he was told about it by the FBI before the election? Because he thought crooked Hillary was going to win and he didn't want to upset the apple cart. He was in charge, not me, and did nothing." Earlier on the program, we had Tom Fitton on from Judicial Watch, who has been working so hard to find the truth in all this. And he basically said this was a politicized probe under the Obama administration.
The President of the United States has an obligation, when he learns of information that the Justice Department and FBI may have abused the law, to raise issues and to say, you need to investigate this. Barack Obama said that Hillary Clinton shouldn't be prosecuted in the middle of the Clinton email investigation. You had Hillary Clinton's email investigation, thoroughly politicized because of what Barack Obama did. And of course, Barack Obama was briefed on the anti-Trump investigation repeatedly.
So this, to give some context here, this goes back to 2016, the revelations of an informant possibly inserted into President Trump's campaign, and of course the Russian investigation beginning under a DOJ overseen by President Obama. Adam Schiff, the Democrat, one of the ranking Democrats in the Intelligence Committee, is now taking a new tack that we're just hearing over the weekend that says, well, if you're tired of all this, just throw the bums out. I really can't set it up any better than the way he says it when he says this.
Well, the broad question is, how do you counter a president who repeats falsehood after falsehood after falsehood, that has the bully pulpit of the presidency to do it, and has allies in Congress who are willing to support that? And Martha, at the end of the day, there's only one remedy for that, and that is you need to throw the bums out. As long as there's a majority in Congress that is willing to do this president's will, and as long as we have a deeply unethical president, there's only one remedy, and that is to change the Congress. And to let the investigation go on. And that's what we need to try to fight to do.
So Adam Schiff, his goal, he wants this Russia probe to stay alive. And a lot of this goes to the 2018 midterms elections, which are right around the corner. They want this still to be going on. So this can be one of their talking points. And hopefully they think success at the polls for them. But he's saying all those Republicans on Capitol Hill, they are standing by the president as he calls them lies from the White House. And in order to change the narrative or to keep the Russia probe going, you got to get the bums out of office. So we had Dan Bongino on the show earlier, and as you can imagine, he was fired up about Adam Schiff's comments, and here's what he said in response.
I'm trying to grasp the logic train he's using here. He's saying that you should throw the bums out because they're dishonest. But this guy's the champion of dishonesty. He's one of the bums. I don't know what he's talking about. The Democrats cannot give this up. This is all they have. They've defined themselves by Russian collusion that did not exist.
Look, there's still so many questions, and that is a problem. You talk to anyone who's watching the show right now, and I talk to many of my family and friends. They're like, what is going on here? We don't know. We don't have all the facts. There are still so many question marks. And even Giuliani was on with Bill Hemmer yesterday saying that they don't have all the facts, and they are still asking. They want to know more about this informant, this spy, as the White House is calling it. They want to know about Spygate, and if the president's going to sit down with Robert Mueller, they want to have more information about what all went down before this election happened back in 2016.
When you are prepping your client, as Giuliani is trying to do, you want as much information as possible, especially in a situation like this where everybody in America knows they're going to try to trap President Trump in a perjury trap. So you want as much information as possible so you can brief your individual, in this case, the President of the United States.
You know who's been prepping with a lot of information? Julia Mealy.
What?
She has all kinds of information.
What do you know, Julia?
Extremely busy over there, guys.
What do you know, and when did you know it, Julia?
I know a lot of things, and I can't tell you everything.
But there's a lot going on today.
I can tell you this. We have a Fox News news alerts. We want to get you caught up on this story that we've been following. A desperate search underway for a man missing after flash flooding ripped through historic Ellicott City. The Maryland city under a state of emergency. Rescue crews pulling at least 30 people from flooded homes and cars. Officials now assessing the damage left behind. The same area, by the way, is still recovering from devastating flooding 2 years ago. Down south, evacuations underway in Florida's Panhandle as subtropical storm Alberto nears the coast. Meteorologist Adam Klotz will be live tracking the storm in the next half hour. Former President George H.W. Bush back in the hospital being treated for low blood pressure and fatigue. A family spokesman says he is awake and alert, but will likely stay in the hospital for a few days. Just a day earlier, the former president visited veterans at an American Legion pancake breakfast near his summer home in Maine. Freed prisoner Josh Holt and his family could be back home in Utah as early as tomorrow. Right now, they're being treated at Walter Reed Medical Center. Holt, an American, traveled to Venezuela to meet his wife. They were arrested and accused of stockpiling weapons and held for 2 years. After painstaking negotiations, President Trump was able to help secure their release. President Trump paying tribute to the heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice. This morning, the commander-in-chief tweeting this heartfelt video.
Arlington is a special place, and our country is a special place. As Americans, we come together to remember our great heroes on this Memorial Day.
In just a few hours, the president will lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier at Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia. He's also expected to make a speech. Let's look at your headlines. Send it back to you.
All right, Jillian.
Such a passion of President Trump.
Absolutely.
Something that he ran on. He wants to make sure that our men and women who are fighting so hard for this country
Are not forgotten.
are not forgotten, but are getting the treatment they deserve. Yeah. Thank you, Jillian.
Two brothers trapped when their car flips into a canal. Coming up, an intense rescue like you've never seen before.
And a progressive radio host says he knows what Memorial Day is really about: resisting the president. Really?
Don't tread on me, no. Don't tread on me.
Welcome back. 15 minutes after the hour on this Memorial Day Monday. The high-stakes North Korea summit could be back on track. This weekend, President Trump tweeting, "Our United States team has arrived in North Korea to make arrangements for the summit between Kim Jong-un and myself. I truly believe North Korea has brilliant potential and will be a great economic and financial nation one day. Kim Jong-un agrees with me on this. It will happen." Former Green Beret Commander Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz served as counterterrorism advisor to Vice President Cheney. He joins us now to weigh in. Good to see you, sir. And as a warrior diplomat, see what I did there? I plugged your book. What's the best course of action for the president to take with regard to North Korea?
Well, I think President Trump is absolutely right in his current course of action. He had tough preconditions before sitting down with Kim Jong-un in that sanctions will absolutely stay in place, military exercises will continue, and we're talking full, verifiable denuclearization as the goal here. And he has stuck to his guns, and we've seen North Korea now come back to the table.
I just feel like so much of the mainstream media is focused on the narrative. Kim Jong-un is crazy. You don't know how to deal with him because you can't deal with a crazy person. What so many people neglect is the sanctions element. This is an individual who promised his people that they would have better lives going forward. The U.S. sanctions are doing the exact opposite of that. He needs to respond to those sanctions, and the only thing that he can give us in return is complete denuclearization.
Well, President Trump has to make both Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China fully believe that if they achieve this program, right now they believe that if they achieve an ICBM, that it will mean the protection of his regime. And President Trump is making them understand that, no, if you achieve this program, it will mean the destruction of your regime. The Chinese don't want that, and certainly the North Koreans don't want that. So if you buy into the critics that he is a rational actor, he is going to preserve his regime by denuclearizing. But the only way to do that and to make them realize that is by a credible use of military force and by choking off the North Korean economy. And that's what President Trump is doing. I was in the Bush White House working for Vice President Cheney during the six-party talks and watched us make the mistake of making concession after concession after concession. And we all know now that the North Koreans were buying time and they were cheating. And that's what we have to prevent them from doing this time.
On a day like today, the image of military force leading to freedom is so pronounced. We're going to show some images right now of Memorial Day remembrances across the nation. And while we're showing these, right now, obviously, the Tomb of the Unknown there in Arlington, Virginia, what message would you like to send to Americans on this Memorial Day?
Well, the bottom line is freedom isn't free. It comes at a tremendous cost. We were just talking about North Korea. There's 30,000 servicemen and women sitting in the Korean Peninsula. There's over 180,000 around the world. That is larger than the British, Canadian, and Australian armies combined. The United States is leading. But it does come at a cost. In fact, there are special operators in 60 countries as we speak this morning, as we wake up today, free men and women in America. And, I would remind everyone that there are Gold Star families all over the United States waking up this morning without their husbands, without their fathers, without their brothers and sisters that have truly given the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And that is worth remembering every day. I think about the soldiers that I've lost every single day, and it inspires me to be a better person and to live a life that's worthy of their sacrifice. And I hope that's what every American's thinking about this morning.
Beautiful word, sir, and we thank you for your service as well on this Memorial Day. Lieutenant Colonel Michael Waltz, thank you for spending some of your Memorial Day with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you as well. Could the blue wave be crashing? Democrats getting nervous. One pollster said they should be. The numbers coming up. Plus, we will help announce the 2018 Veteran Entrepreneur Contest winner. You remember this from Friday? We got a winner. She's going to be with us coming up.
Then I'm American made. I got American.
Welcome back. Some quick headlines. Plans to implode a smokestack go up in smoke when it doesn't collapse.
Arnold!
Oh boy, the smokestack in Pennsylvania now lopsided and a little shorter. They'll try to implode it again this week. And a fisherman catches a ride from a shark caught on his line. Hold on tight. The shark pulling the man's kayak around in the water off South Carolina. He was not hurt. It happens to you all the time, right, Ed?
That would not have been my reaction if I saw a shark down there. Well played. All right, well, Friday marked National Poppy Day, an initiative to honor those who have fought and continue to fight for our country. And to help celebrate it, the American Legion sponsored a veteran entrepreneur contest open to all veteran service members and their spouses.
You recall on Friday, we introduced you to the 3 finalists in the contest, and today we're proud to help announce the winner.
Joining us now is Executive Director for the American Legion Auxiliary in Washington, D.C., Carol Lindamood Harlow, and 2018 Veteran Entrepreneur Contest winner Christy DeWitt of Nomadas Collection. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This Memorial Day, tell us, Christy, what does this mean to you?
Well, we are, there's 5 owners actually, and so I'm just here representing all of us, but we are thrilled. We are humbled by just the outpouring of votes and just support for military businesses, and so we're extremely excited.
Well, and the 3 finalists, Carol, were military spouses, not actually veterans themselves. But this is not just some easy competition. I mean, the creativity that goes into this. Help our viewers understand what this is all about.
Well, we have been distributing poppies on Poppy Day, Memorial Day weekend, for many, many years. And this past year, we thought, what a better way to really showcase the talents and the ingenuity and creativity of our veterans and their family members by creating this Veteran Entrepreneur Program. And so we're very excited to be announcing the winners today. Thank you so much for having us back
No
to
problem.
be able to do this.
And look at those beautiful charms. Christy, that is what you won for. You made poppies and any sort of charm you want to wear on a necklace or a bracelet. But tell us also about your company, right? Because you have your own company and you have 4 other women military spouses. Is that right?
We do. Well, we have 4 active duty military spouses and 1 precious military sister-in-law. And so we do sterling silver charms. We make them for the military. We're able to make service branch charms. We have the trademark with the military, and so we can do their dog tags and emblems. And then we've created a charm for each duty station. And so where you've been stationed, whether Fort Bragg or Camp Pendleton or Norfolk or Cape May or maybe Nellis Air Force Base, we have a charm for you. And then we've done other patriotic charms, and that's how we did the poppy.
Carol, in the time we have remaining, for those that don't know, can you explain the significance of the poppy, especially on a day like today where we celebrate the men and women who died for our freedom?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. During World War I, as the soldiers lay fallen in the fields, lime deposits started to form up and these poppies would emerge. And soldiers would look at the poppies and they would remember their fallen comrades. And that is the beginning of the poppy, and that's how the significance of the poppy, the day, for all of us in the American Legion family, for us today is a very special day. We are honoring the fallen and we're helping to support the living. And that for us is what Poppy Day, National Poppy Day and Memorial Day is about.
A tradition that we hold dear. Christy, congratulations to you. A big day. And thank your husband for his service and all the military wives out there, because that is a big job to play. And we thank them all for their service as well. Christy and Carol, thank you both for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next on the rundown, a progressive radio host says he knows what Memorial Day is really about: resisting the president. Seriously?
Plus, Steve Doocy is live at the Folds of Honor Patriot Cup in Oklahoma. Steve, it is beautiful where you are.
It is gorgeous. It's going to be kind of a hot one here, but nonetheless, hundreds of people from across the United States have convened here in Owasso, Oklahoma. That's downtown Tulsa, in the distance right there. Coming up, you know, we've talked for so many years about the Folds of Honor organization. You're going to meet a family whose lives have been changed by generosity of folks like you. That's coming up live from Oklahoma in about 2 minutes on Memorial Day 2018. You're watching Fox and Friends.
If you are in Midtown in New York City, you have been being treated all morning long. That is the Navy Band Northeast performing America the Beautiful. When we were out there earlier in the cooking segment, they were preparing the discipline, the attention to detail. It's remarkable, honoring those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice on this Memorial Day. It's amazing.
What it's all about. How lucky are we
So lucky.
to get them performing right out there in our plaza all morning long?
And obviously they've had a long week here for Fleet Week, and it continues, but we're so lucky.
A lot of long nights of fun, too.
Every day, Folds of Honor remembers the brave men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice by providing educational scholarships to their families.
And last night at the Patriot Cup Gala, one remarkable woman shared her Folds of Honor story.
She joins Steve Doocy now, along with Folds of Honor founder Major Dan Rooney, live from Oklahoma. Hey, Steve.
Hey, good morning to you. Yep, we're coming up on 10 years now. Fox and Friends has been here with Dan Rooney, Major Dan Rooney. You know him. He's, of course, the founder of Folds of Honor. There's no place else we would rather be than with you. Of course, your organization helps families like the Campbells, and this is Kelly Campbell and her daughter, Kate. And for the folks who are watching for the first time and are unfamiliar with Folds of Honor, what do you do?
We provide military families who've lost someone or had someone permanently disabled the opportunity to get an education, to honor their sacrifice by educating their legacy. And on Memorial Day, I can't think of a more noble way to say thank you to the men and women that serve than to step in that gap when tragedy strikes. And I know Kelly just moved everybody's heart and soul last night with her heroism. And so often the military members are called heroes. I work every day with what I think are the most heroic people on earth, families like Kelly Campbell.
Kelly, tell me about your husband, Major Sean Campbell.
Sean was an amazing husband and dad and son and friend, and just a hero in every sense.
Yeah.
And we miss him every day.
You got the knock on the door back in 2016. You were living in Hawaii. Your husband, a chopper pilot, a Marine. And one of the things that Folds of Honor has been able to help you with is you're left with 4 children. Right. And Kate, for instance, folks think, oh, they're college scholarships. They're not all college scholarships. Right. They are scholarships to help kids of all ages get an education.
Yes, yes. Folds of Honor fills a huge gap for families like mine. We have a long ways to go till college, right. And so Folds is already here for me now, and so my kids are in an amazing school, yeah, which made our transition just that much easier and smoother.
That's right. And you moved from Hawaii to Kansas City,
yes,
closer to family. You hear stories like this all the time, unfortunately.
It is. In Memorial Day, we understand freedom is not free. And as I said, Kelly's one of the most heroic people I've ever met. And her husband, Sean, paid the ultimate sacrifice. And that's where we have the opportunity as Americans to step up. And despite a record year, we'll award over 5,000 scholarships next month to families just like the Campbells. We have millions in unfunded qualified requests. And that's why our partnership with you, Steve, and Fox, and all the folks that come here for the Patriot Cup is so important to create awareness and be the voice of these families who are literally left behind on the field of battle when you leave Hawaii and move home to Kansas City. And so it's a blessing to be here, but we need folks' support.
Absolutely. And just about 5 miles from where we are sitting right now, in that ballroom, there were 1,000 people jammed in there. The fire marshal said, no more. This is as many people as can come into this ballroom. It must make you feel warm in your heart to know that there are so many people, not just in that room, but all across America, who are doing their best and are, they're writing a check to Folds of Honor to help, you've got 3 other kids other than Kate so that they can go to school.
Right. It's amazing. It's humbling and just astounding to see what Folds of Honor is doing because of Major Dan's decision 10 years ago.
It changed your life.
Completely.
You changed each of your kids' lives.
It allowed us to start a new life that we needed.
Dan, there are people watching right now who want to make a difference on Memorial Day 2018. How do they do that?
I think the greatest way to honor the sacrifice of our fallen is to take care of their legacy. That's what we do at Folds of Honor. foldsofhonor.org. We have an amazing program called the Wingman Program. This is a small donation of $13 a month, representing the 13 folds that bring the flag to that iconic triangle shape, which is shared with the fallen and their families. And so we hope everybody will honor the sacrifice on this Memorial Day and take care of families just like the Campbells.
All right. Kelly, thank you very much for telling your story.
Thank you.
Kate, have a nice summer, okay?
She's out of school.
I know.
She's happy, and she had to get up early this morning.
Oh, boy. All right. Major Dan, thank you.
God bless.
All right. Back to the studio.
Thank you, Steve. What a
That's
beautiful
great.
story.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
A lot more going on this morning. Toss it over to Jillian for some other headlines.
Good point. Good morning. Good morning to you, and good morning to you.
Todd, that was really awesome.
Let's get you updated on some of the headlines that we're following, starting with this.
Crews pull brothers to safety when their car flips upside down into a canal. The incredible rescue caught on camera in California.
Stand up. Stand up.
Look at that. Rescuers using the jaws of life to get the men out safely. They are both expected to be okay. Police still trying to figure out exactly what led to that crash. A radio host is not honoring our nation's heroes today. Instead, he's recognizing those who resist President Trump. Dean Obeidallah tweeting, quote, "This Memorial Day weekend, let's honor the women and men who bravely sacrificed their lives fighting to protect our nation's freedoms by resisting Trump's attacks on our democracy. Hashtag the resistance is the highest form of patriotism." Well, as you can imagine, that radio host is now getting a lot of backlash for the tweet online. We already knew he wasn't a good thief. Now we know he isn't much of a writer either. This is Sean Harris, who's filing a lawsuit against a New York store owner who shot him after he stuck bottles of liquor in his pants. Harris writes in the suit, quote, "The store owner pulled out a handgun and stated, 'Give me the bottles back. I want to be compensated $2.7 million for my injuries.'" Harris couldn't even get the name of the shooter or the store right. Interesting. The guards keeping watch at the tomb of the unknown soldier have a message to all of us this Memorial Day.
Many people think that the ultimate sacrifice is giving up your life, but these soldiers gave up not only their lives, but their identities.
We're out there because, you know, those unknown soldiers, they deserve every bit of perfection that we give them when we step beyond the chains and onto that plaza.
The sentinels who watch over the tomb are part of the Old Guard. Before Memorial Day, they place more than 220,000 flags in front of headstones at Arlington National Cemetery. Let's look at your headlines. I just wonder if that man will be compensated.
Compensated.
His word, not mine.
I haven't heard that one before.
I haven't
Might
either.
start using it. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you. All right, turning to extreme weather now. Florida under a state of emergency as subtropical storm Alberto turns toward the Gulf Coast.
Thousands of people in Florida's Panhandle told to get out before the storm hits today.
Meteorologist Adam Klotz is live. He's been tracking this all morning long. Adam, what is the latest?
Hey guys, yeah, this is a massive storm. We're talking about Florida, but it's not going to be just isolated in Florida. I've been talking to some people here across the south, some folks from just outside of Gainesville, Florida, or excuse me, Gainesville, Georgia, in the Atlanta area. Have you guys been paying attention to what's been happening there?
Yeah. Just hoping we can get home today and the flight's not delayed.
Yeah, traveling back there this evening, and they are going to be battling with what has been a lot of rain across Georgia, the Carolinas. Let's take a look at the map. You see the spinning rotation there? That is just off the coast of Panama City Beach, Florida. You're getting into the Destin area, but rain stretching across Mississippi, Georgia, into the Carolinas, still in portions of South Florida. This is a big system. The winds now at 65 miles an hour. It's moving to the north only at 6 miles an hour, so this is a slow-moving system. If you're in an area where you're getting rain, you are going to be continuing to get some rain here for the next little bit. Here's our future forecast. I'll put it into motion for you. When do we eventually get that landfall? Probably not until this afternoon. So there's still a little bit of time there. That's when the rain's going to be the heaviest. That's when the wind's going to be the hardest, guys. This is going to be one we're paying attention to. And unfortunately, for all those folks across the south for Memorial Day, I'm afraid that rain is sticking around here for a little while. Guys.
Thinking about everyone in that area. Thank you, Adam.
Yep. Safe.
Keep a close eye on that. All right, coming up on the show, could the blue wave be crashing? See what we did there? Democrats are getting nervous, and one pollster says they should be. Those numbers next.
And our guest coming up says the NFL kneelers can learn a lot from NASCAR, who just made a sweet patriotic move. Retired Marine Corps bomb technician Joey Jones lost his leg serving our country. He will join us live.
In America, you never did think that it ever would.
Some quick headlines for you. Bikers from around the country flocking to our nation's capital to honor American heroes. More than 1 million people attending the 31st annual Rolling Thunder Ride for Freedom. Of course, it honors fallen troops and veterans and calls attention to those missing in action. And the USS Arizona Memorial at Pearl Harbor is closed indefinitely. Engineers now working to figure out how to fix serious structural issues. It's unclear how long it could take to make repairs. Other areas of the Pearl Harbor Visiting Center will remain open. Griff, take it away.
All right, thanks, Abby. Should Democrats wave goodbye to the blue wave with their lead in the polls shrinking and 10 seats up for grabs in states that the president won? Some Democrats are more worried than ever about losing big in the midterms. Here to break it down is former pollster for the Trump campaign and CEO of McLaughlin and Associates, John McLaughlin. Nobody knows it better, John. Let's get right into this. All right, the blue wave crashing, we'll see. Well, we're talking about a razor-thin majority.
Right, it's really close right now, but the geography this year, those seats that are up, of the 35 seats that are up, you have 26 Democratic seats up and only 9 Republicans at play. So you got these 26 seats up. And what's really important about those 26 seats, there's 10 of them in states that Trump won and 1 Minnesota that he almost won.
I want to get to those, John, just real quickly so our viewers know. Now, what those 26 seats mean is that essentially Democrats would have to win 26 seats plus 2 to overcome that majority in these 10 competitive states.
Well, they would, in those 10 competitive states, what's really interesting is the Trump strategy was to bring new voters out. And we had a record turnout of 139 million voters, of which 63 million voted for Trump. These states had surges of Trump voters. And what's going on right now, the Democrats are picking fights with the president while his job approval is going up. So in our poll on McLaughlinOnline.com, we had the president's job approval has grinded up a net of 9 points this last November. So we had him at 49 just last week. And in those states, it's even higher. So in those states where you have these 10 Democrats up in seats that are targeted in seats that where Trump won, you have, in effect, his numbers going higher, and millions of Trump voters who voted in 2016 but not 2014 potentially coming out now in 2018.
John, I want to talk about the messaging on issues you believe is really critical here.
Right. Well, look at these issues here. You've got the economy. The economy is growing. 3 million new jobs created. Why? President Trump's tax cuts. Guess how many Democrats voted for those tax cuts? Not one. They didn't give us a single vote. And now Americans think the economy is getting better, 53 to 36 in the poll last week that we had. Plus immigration. The Democrats stood us up on DACA. The president was willing to compromise, but he wanted to get rid of chain migration and diversity lottery, which brought terrorists into the United States. And the Democrats are now even defending MS-13.
It's going to be a very interesting march to the midterms. And of course, we got security infrastructure. John, thanks so much for being here on Memorial Day.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. She worked inside the Obama DOJ. Now she's attacking President Trump. Answers about if there was a spy inside his campaign.
This has really taken the assault on the rule of law to a new level. We packed a lot.
But doesn't the president have enough evidence to call for an investigation? Law professor Jonathan Turley says yes. And should the NFL take a cue from NASCAR? Retired Marine Corps bomb technician Johnny Joey Jones lost his legs serving our country, and he says yes. He joins us next.
We owe them everything for what they've done. So it's very touching, very eye-opening.
He was a huge NASCAR fan, and it's just a real honor for someone to honor him.
This is great. NASCAR driver Jeffrey Earnhardt surprising the family of a fallen soldier this Memorial Day weekend by adding his name, Army Specialist George Manis, to the driver's side door of his car.
That is pretty powerful. And our next guest says the NFL can learn a lot from NASCAR when it comes to patriotism. Retired Marine Corps bomb technician Johnny Joey Jones lost his legs in a bomb blast in Afghanistan, and he joins us right now. Joey, we always love having you on the show, and you're a fan of both NASCAR and the NFL. You say there are great things about both of them, but there are specific things that set NASCAR apart when it comes to our patriotism that we can all learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. I've actually worked in NASCAR, and I spoke to 3 NFL teams last year. There are great people among them both. But the one thing about NASCAR, I'd say the thing that sets it apart the most is that the fans of the sport mandate that patriotism, honoring our flag, honoring our men and women in uniform is a part of the sport. NASCAR knows its place in our society. It's an entertainment. It's something that we have to pay for through viewership and tickets, and they understand that, and they understand they have to connect with us. One of the things that NASCAR went through just a few years ago was the removal of rebel flags from events. That was something that the fan base understood, accepted, and embraced. There's a NASCAR driver diversity program. the same issues that maybe Colin Kaepernick or some of the NFL players bring to light exist in every walk of life, but NASCAR's learned to embrace those issues and tackle them as a community, not in a divisive way. One of the things people will say is that NASCAR is somehow a southern sport, and so that makes it different. The last 9 champions over the last 20 years were from the West Coast. The last champion was from New Jersey, racing for a team out of Colorado. It's a national sport. They just understand how to connect with their fan base and honor our men and women in uniform.
Joey, you have a few names on your wrist you'd like to remember this Memorial Day and the message of remembering their sacrifice. Tell us.
Yes, I have 26 names on my wrist. All of those are explosive ordnance disposal technicians from the Marine Corps bomb techs that I served with. From 2009 to 2012 were tough years for us. Along with that, my best friend, Christopher McDonald, we grew up together, joined the Marine Corps in the same year, took his own life in 2012 with suicide related to PTSD. Memorial Day is a very important day for us, but I don't agree with the rhetoric that we can't celebrate. I was there, I witnessed men laying their life down for this country, and I can tell you every one of them that I ever knew would want us to enjoy today and do it in remembrance. But it's okay to cook out. I don't believe in guilt patriotism. I don't believe in looking for the tears. I believe in celebrating. I believe that these men and women who have laid their lives down deserve that. And so for me, today's a very happy day because I get to remember those guys and gals that are my heroes.
And quickly, in the 15 seconds we have remaining, big day for you, throwing out the first pitch.
Yes.
Braves, Mets.
Throwing out the first pitch to my hometown team here at the Atlanta Braves. I'm very excited about that, and I'm doing it in honor of Sergeant Chris McDonald, my best friend, and go Braves.
That's good luck to you. Yeah, and a great message. Thank you for reminding us of what today is all about, Johnny Joey Jones. Good to see you this morning.
Thank you for your service.
The Mets may ask him to pitch relief because they're having some troubles right now for the New York
They
Mets.
may keep him.
That was just for Joe. Just wanted to upset Joe. Will the summit with North Korea actually happen? The big hint the president just dropped at the top of the hour.
And a pair of emotional reunions. You have got to see a Navy mom surprising both of her daughters. They join us live. You don't want to miss this. That is coming up next hour.